How's the start of the quarter?
Solid. Easy right now.
You guys can step up because I think they're
Here with
syllabus week, man. That's nothing wrong with that.
you guys go ahead and questions here. Go ahead.
I guess I could start. Luke was the first big off the bench on Tuesday. With Michigan State's front court depth, do you see him having an expanded role, and what have you seen from him thus far?
Yeah, I mean, I think with all three of those guys, we have confidence, and it's kind of a game-by-game thing based on how the game's going, who's playing well. Pretty much every game, all three of those bigs have played, and it's just kind of whoever's got it going, whoever's playing well on that night, we've kind of stayed with them. I thought Luke did a lot of good things the other night in a game where there weren't many good things on our end, but I thought his energy, his ability to finish, he made a couple threes. He's getting better. He's getting more comfortable. I mean, people forget he was out with a broken foot last year. So, I mean, after December 1st, he really didn't even practice with us because of his foot injury. So, for all intents and purposes, he's a freshman. And it takes time to kind of learn this level and figure things out. And I think this whole non-league, I can see him with each game getting more comfortable. And certainly that's exciting because we need him. And there's some things he can do with being able to stretch the defense a little bit. Offensively, his ability to finish and kind of pass from the elbows. He does some things that, maybe at a different level than the other two guys.
Coach, following that game, obviously you're only 2 conference games into the season, but do you feel like there's kind of a heightened sense of urgency knowing that Michigan State is coming in here with a sellout and to avoid consecutive performances like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, throughout the course, it's such a long conference season, and you're going to be judged over 20 games. And there's times where maybe you have a bad week or a couple games, and I think the biggest thing, and when we've had good seasons, we've been able to kind of eliminate that extended, drought. And we have a very tough schedule out of the gate. I mean, you look at our first, to come out of the gate and play Purdue, Illinois on the road, and now Michigan State. A lot of people preseason pick those teams top 3 in the league. So you have to also take like when you play people, how they're playing. I mean, the Michigan State team we're playing now is not the same Michigan State team that played against Wisconsin and Nebraska a month ago. I mean, they found their stride. They're playing well. They're confident. Guys are shooting better. So anytime you play at home, I think there's an extra heightened sense because it's so hard to win on the road in this conference. So I think there's a sense of urgency and just. I know all of our guys have a little bit of a bad taste in your mouth. We didn't play well. We got punished for that by a really good team. We weren't where we needed to be, and that happens sometimes. And I just think we can't panic and overreact too much, but you also just can't flush it either. You have to understand, okay, yeah, we didn't have a good night, but why? What do we need to do now as we get back ready to go for the next one to be ready to play at a high level?
Coach, with this next game being a sellout, the first game students are back on campus from winter break. What do you expect from the atmosphere, and how do you think that's going to contribute to the game's result?
Yeah, hopefully it'll be great. Our guys thrive on that atmosphere. I think we saw last year and now into this year, some of our high-profile games, the Dayton game, was a great atmosphere. I thought we really thrived in that environment as well as Purdue, which were 2 great wins for us. And, you need it in this conference. You need that home energy because, they're tough battles and you get fatigued throughout the game. And when you have that student backing behind you and you have that energy and that everything going, it really uplifts the home team. So we need everybody out. We need the support. We need everybody rested up and ready to bring the energy on Sunday night for sure.
Coach, when you turned on the tape from Tuesday's game, what really stood out to you where things really started to evolve?
Yeah, just our lack of physicality. I just thought we kind of backed down to Illinois' physicality, and they really brought the fight to us. And the way we started the game, I think it gave them a lot of confidence. They made 7 of their first 9 shots, and there wasn't a lot of resistance. And then what happens is, as the game goes on, then you start making tougher shots if you're then because you feel good, you're confident, you have it going, you're hot. I mean, some of those shots in the second half that, Rogers and Damask and Gary, it's because we gave them a lot of confidence in the first half by the easy baskets and the lack of fight on that end of the floor and the glass. I just thought we got out-fought, in a lot of ways, and we never responded after they threw that first punch. We never responded to that first punch. So we have to do a much better job as we head into Sunday with that.
Just to follow up on that, how you emphasize how you get that going in practice with that raised level of physicality to make sure that you are ready to go against some of the more physical teams?
Yeah, you try to simulate it the best you can. I mean, there's only so much you can do. You know, it's hard for us in a practice to simulate Zach Edey, you know, before you play Purdue. It's hard for us to simulate kind of what Illinois does with their size, with Ty Rogers 6'7", Damask 6'7", you know, Guerrier 6'7". You know, some of that you can do their actions and you can talk about what we want to do. But then when you get out there and, you know, it's a guy like that, you can only simulate it so much. But a lot of it is just mindset. I mean, we've shown. I mean, like, there have been plenty of games this year that we've shown that we can handle that kind of physicality. We can play. I mean, Arizona State was a perfect example. I thought that was out of the gate. Like, we were the aggressor. We were the physical, but we were the guys hitting. We were the guys, and because of that, we played really well. So it's there. It's just our guys have to embrace that in order for us to be successful. They have to do it every night. You know, if we don't, then we can look very average, and we have at certain points of the year when we don't bring that fight and that physicality to the game.
Yeah, Coach, obviously you opened the calendar year last year with a similar double-digit loss.
Yeah.
You rebounded nicely with wins against Illinois and Indiana.
Yeah.
How do you kind of match that energy, kind of like you mentioned, a little bit flush it out with the same?
Yeah, again, like you have to have a short memory in this conference, win or lose. You know, if you win a big game, you can't rest on that either. You got to move on. And, you know, what's crazy now is you get into a segment where I think the next 3 or 4 weeks we're playing Wednesday, Saturday, where it's a game, 2 days game, 2-day game, and you have to move on to the next regardless of what has happened. Because if you sit on a loss too much, then that can trigger all of a sudden 3, 4, 5 losses, and then you're in a really deep hole. And at the end of the day, we talk about with our guys all year, like you'll be judged on what you do over 20 games. You know, I mean, last year, what were we, 6-5 at one point, and then won 5 in a row, then lost 3 out of 4. Like it's such a long year, and you play so many good teams. Like you just have to stay the course, you know, and you can't, you know, and it's the nature of the beast with you guys. Like, you know, if you play great, there's going to be a lot of praise, and if you have a game like Illinois, it's going to be doomsday. I mean, you watch the game, like a perfect example the other night. You know, I'm watching the football games, right? You watch Michigan. What would the narrative have been from you guys in the media if that kid fumbled the punt into the end zone and they lost the game? Would we be anointing Michigan and calling on Saban to retire because he doesn't know it was one play? Kid fumbles the ball and he luckily stops at the half-yard line. That's and all of a sudden it would have been, oh, Michigan, 3rd year in a row, Final Four, they lost again. But now one play can change. It's never as great as it seems, and it's never as bad. And the teams that navigate the best through all that are, to me, the ones that kind of overcome. And that's what we have to do with our team. Is it as bad as it looked on Tuesday night? No. I mean, we didn't play well on Tuesday night, but that's not who we've been for most of the year. Just like it's not as great as it seems when you beat a team like Purdue. You got to keep an even keel, and you got to keep getting better. And hopefully over the course of 20 games, you win your share and you win more than you lose, and you have a chance to be relevant in March.
Going back to Michigan State, they probably played their best basketball of the year last night. If you
Yeah.
caught that game,
Yeah.
They did a lot of things well, but what was the thing that most stood out to you when you look at that one?
Just if you watch their last few games, Indiana State, Penn State, even the Baylor game, which they're back to kind of playing with Michigan State speed. You know, you watch some of their early games, I didn't think they were playing as fast. They weren't pushing the ball up the floor. They weren't, you know, and a lot of their guys were struggling to shoot the ball early in the season. You know, Akins was struggling a little bit, Hogard, Hall. If you look at their numbers in the last 5 games, those guys have really uplifted their play. And then Walker being one of the best players in the conference. I mean, there's no question. He's been there all year. But I think his complementary pieces, those guys are really now playing with a lot of confidence and shooting the ball a lot better, where now it's making it a lot harder, you know, being able to give help to where Walker can't just do it all himself, you know, and that's why they're playing better. Hopefully. I mean, when you look for forever and a day with Coach Izzo's team, when you play them, the very first thing is transition defense, and the very second thing on the board is rebounding. And that's a staple of Michigan State. Can you get back and make them play in the half court, and then can you rebound when the ball goes on the glass? And I don't think that changes with this year's team. So to your point, yes. I mean, we need to have a game where it's more of a half-court game. run opportunistically off of a turnover or long rebound, but we don't want the game to get going up and down. That really favors what Michigan State wants to do. It's got to be more to our tempo for sure.
All right, that'll wrap us up with Coach.
All right, thanks, guys. Appreciate you guys. Yep.